The first Ni no Kuni was a good game with its fair share of pacing issues, but it still had the charm and enjoyability of a mid-tier Ghibli movie. Ni no Kuni 2 is the corpse being masqueraded around in the Weekend at Bernie's. Okay, maybe it's not that bad, but it falls short in almost every area where the first game shined. Ni no Kuni 2 actually starts off really strong, but the cracks start to show relatively early. You start the game off by playing as the motherfucking President of the United States. And where else would the President be other than the Golden Gate Bridge? Oh, I'm sorry, did you think the White House was the logical choice? Get that shit out of here, you clearly never played Sonic Adventure 2.
The President must be over there! Let's go!
Unfortunately, Tails must have failed his mission because a nuke gets dropped and POTUS is transferred to another world. Specifically, straight into the bedroom of a, trap named Evan. Apparently, a coup is happening and the guards are trying to penetrate Prince Trap with their, short swords. But President Roland helps him escape by being a total badass. Not only does he have hops blacker than Barack Obama and no swordsmanship, he also carries a gun and takes out a fucking guard. I mean, I'd vote for this man. After a stealth mechanic that's never brought up again, they bump into Evan's bodyguard, who helps him escape. But they run into the Black Knight, and bodyguard girl gets piccoloed in the Saiyan saga, to be specific.
A second. Why didn't I just grab him? I could probably still do that now, actually!
Her death inspires Evan to build his own kingdom without war and where everyone can live happily ever after. And President Roland decides to help him out, just because. My guess is he didn't want to face the political backlash of sneaking into an underage boy's bedroom. All jokes aside, the main story really is total fucking garbage. The plot is sloppily pasted together in almost every single way, so here are some of the problems with Ni no Kuni that I can think of off the top of my head. The Black Knight, who's hyped up in the very beginning and just screams major villain, never even returns. He just disappears and is never even brought up again.
'Tis but a scratch.
After the first chapter, Ni no Kuni 2 also jarringly shifts control to Evan for most of the game and essentially baited and switched the main character. Roland takes a back seat and supports Evan, but screw that, I'd rather have the kick-ass president be our lead protagonist. Evan wants to stop war, and instead of conquering the world like something I'd rather do, he plans to have all major kingdoms form a United Nations-esque pact. Problem is, all the fucking conflicts in each major kingdom are internal. None of them are warring, like at all, and a treaty won't do shit to stop that. This game also has some of the flimsiest character motivation I've ever seen. Well, I know my country just got nuked and probably needs my guidance, but I'd rather help out King Trap. I know your typical JRPG is supposed to have an unlikely party of characters, but at least try to make their motivations believable and line up. The pacing is also kinda spotty. The second and third cities are rushed compared to the first and fourth, so you won't have the same attachment to them. Which is quite the shame, because given a similar level of care, those cities could have been much more interesting and make the game a little bit more well-rounded overall. It'd at least be better than the ending, which is complete shit. Not only is it pretty anticlimactic with the four nations banding together, but it also brings back a main element of the first game without leading up to it at all, so it feels like the biggest ass pull ever. The gameplay is what actually kept me around, but not in the usual way. Most games try to do one thing well, but Ni no Kuni 2 is a jack of all trades trying to make the sum of its parts greater than it actually is. It transformed itself from a partial turn-based Pokemon knockoff into a more standard JRPG hack and slash. Having any strategy in the combat has been thrown out the window. Granted, different spells will do more damage to certain enemies, but since you can only hotkey 4 fucking skills or spells and don't have access to them in mid-battle, it basically doesn't matter. Even if it did, the running up and hitting it until it's dead tactic never let me down. The combat itself isn't too challenging, and most monsters, assuming they're not 20 levels higher than you, are complete fodder. Pro tip, a fully charged circle slash with Roland can annihilate most common mobs in seconds. To be fair, if you enjoy action RPGs over turn-based ones, then Ni no Kuni 2's combat will be more your speed. As someone who enjoys both, I think the first game offered more interesting and unique combat, as this title's battles are just okay. Not terrible, but they don't really stand out. Completely new to the series are the skirmish battles and kingdom building. Skirmish battles have you mixing a combination of 4 units in one battle and taking down entire armies. Unit types have various advantages and disadvantages that I'm pretty sure Ni no Kuni just stole from Fire Emblem. Like seriously, they didn't even bother to swap colors or weapon types. If that sounds fun to you, you should reconsider your definition of fun, because the end result is a clusterfuck of units and there's not much strategy going on here other than making sure you don't burn out your might gauge. However, if someone's in the same room as you, you can annoy the ever-living Christ out of them by doing this. The Kingdom Builder is pretty self-explanatory. You build up the Kingdom of Evermore with the money you get from your kingdom's influence. The layout of Evermore is set so you don't have too much freedom besides deciding when to build, upgrade, or research, which help you out with the main 3 aspects of gameplay. Individually, the new gameplay elements aren't the most deep compared to other city builders or RTS, but that's probably a good thing for a simpleton like me. They're accessible to people, like me, who aren't very familiar or good at those genres, but for anyone who's a veteran, they'll likely come off as bare bones or disappointing. So after that glowing review on both the story and the gameplay, you must be thinking that the game is total ass, but you'd be jumping the gun there. While none of the main elements of Ni no Kuni 2 are great alone, they really work well together through the side quests. That's right, side quests are the main redeemer for this game, and oh boy, there's a lot. 175 to be exact, so I spent most of my time completing those. And honestly, the side quests aren't even that good, despite being all unique. The draw is how many of the quests allow you to recruit people for your kingdom. You'll routinely go to other kingdoms to headhunt and steal the best citizens so Evermore can grow. You aren't just helping some dipshit with his laundry, you're helping some dipshit with his laundry and then sending him to work in the mines for the rest of his life because he has a mining attribute and the kind dictatorship of Evermore needs some more rare materials, damn it. Each potential citizen is also one of a kind, so recruiting them gives such a satisfying sense of progression and growth. Getting people to form your furry dream kingdom had me hooked from early to mid-game, although it doesn't quite hold up the entire experience because chances are you'll get sick of doing fetch quests. Like, for fuck's sake, you're a dog person, fetch your own shit! The music in Ni no Kuni 2 isn't the best either. Composition-wise, it's fine, but it's poorly executed. Many areas don't feel right or memorable because the one-size-fits-all orchestral background music is shoehorned in. This is an actual song for this canyon area in the beginning of the game, and it just feels to, you know, not really work with the setting. Hey viewer, let's see if you can notice what's wrong with this cutscene.
If that's what it takes, I have to try.
If you guess there's no fucking music, good job. Not sure if this is a glitch or not, but either way it really doesn't help the game's cutscenes and mood and tone and the typical stuff that music does. While I'm on presentation, the game also hurts from not having those Studio Ghibli animated cutscenes to truly emphasize those impressive moments. And this might just be a pet peeve of mine, but it also bothers me that you don't get to view Evermore in a non-chibified top-down viewpoint. Every other kingdom is honestly pretty cool and detailed because it's from a normal third-person view. Not having that for your own kingdom keeps the player distanced and the overall kingdom building experience loses that personal touch. Ni no Kuni is a worse game than its predecessor. It throws out everything that made the first game enjoyable and replaces it with subpar mechanics instead of building off the original. While it succeeds in some areas, mainly its side quests, the only thing that the two games really have in common now is their art style and world. It's unfocused and a step down from the original. Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom gets a C. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I actually really enjoyed writing this review with all the stupid jokes that I could somehow fit in. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts on either Ni no Kuni 2 itself or the review. Did you guys enjoy it more than me? Because I felt like I was a little more harsh than a lot of the other reviewers out there. I'll be playing a whole nother stack of games for a slew of more videos after this. Thankfully, there aren't as many RPGs this time around, so it should be a little sooner than 2 months. I'll also be doing a little bit of branding improvement for the channel overall, maybe get a little bit more people to watch these things. Like, for example, I don't even have a channel trailer out. I just never made one, so I'll be working on stuff like that. More reviews to come, though. I'm not changing any of the content, so I hope to see you guys for the next one. Later.